MTA International, reaching the corners of the earth.
अब हज़रत मिर्ज़ा ताहिर अहमद साहिब खलीफतुल मसीह IV इमाम जमात अहमदिया अय्यदहुल्लाहु ताला बिनस्र अज़ीज़ का खुतबा जुमा होगा।
हबीबना सल्ले अला मुहम्मदिन सल्ले अला हबीबना सल्ले अला मुहम्मदिन सल्ले अला रसूलना सल्ले अला मुहम्मदिन सल्ले अला रसूलना सल्ले अला मुहम्मदिन सल्ले अला मुहम्मदिन सल्ले अला मुहम्मदिन अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह वहदहु ला शरीका लहू وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. During my tour of Europe, I have found the fulfillment of the prophecy of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam to such a great extent, in such detail, covering every aspect of life of the Western nations, that I am only compelled to say a few words on this experience. The prophecy which I have just referred to is the prophecy about the coming of the Dajjal. Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam prophesied that a time would come in the latter days when a great havoc for the world would be born under the style of the Dajjal, which is, the word is translated as Antichrist in English. Whether it carries the full connotation of the word Dajjal or not, I don't know. But I am inclined to believe that it does not carry the full connotation of the word Dajjal, because it's a much deeper and richer word in meaning. So just Antichrist will not be able to carry all the messages which are a sort of packed, very closely packed in the word Dajjal. Now, this is a very great prophecy and also a lengthy prophecy which covers so many aspects of the future world if I begin to speak on all these aspects, it would take me a very, very long time. So I'm going to limit myself strictly to only one single word which Hazrat Masih Rasul Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has used to depict the attributes of the child. It says, he will be our, that is, one-eyed. Now, in connection of his one eye, he further explains that his right eye would be blind. So totally blind that there would not even be the realization of a shadowy light in that eye. He would be totally blind. The other one, on the other hand, would be very deep-sighted and far-sighted and so clear and so prominent that that eye would be able to penetrate the depths of the earth and find out the secrets of the earth hidden below billions of tons of earth. It would be such penetrating eye. Now, this is a very interesting depiction of the future Dajjal, or as we understand it to be, as the future Christian nations which are going to dominate the whole world. When I came to Europe, and even before that, I observed this, that Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam could not have chosen a better phrase than the word our for the characteristics of the Western people. They are in fact highly intelligent and very deep-sighted and very clear-sighted as far as the worldly matters go. And you must bear in mind that while interpreting dreams, we are told that if you see left side of a person, that indicates the world or materialism. If you see the right side of a person, that indicates spiritualism. So by explaining that his right eye would be blind, what he meant was that people, however great they apparently be, they would be blind to all that is good. Because rightness stands for goodness in the interpretation of the Muslim way of interpretation of dreams. So all that stands for goodness, righteousness, spiritualism, religious, or godly things would not be perceived by that Dajjal, which, as I have explained, has been manifested in the form of the Western civilization or Christian dominance of the world. So whenever I say Dajjal, it should be understood as such. I don't have to explain every time what I mean by word Dajjal. Because as Masih Maud Islam has at length explained why he considers the Western Christian civilization and their religion to be the representative of this tradition, fulfillment of this tradition of the Holy Prophet. Now secondly, as I mentioned earlier, as far as the worldly matters go, they are so much advanced. They have achieved such high standards of precise and correct vision that it is surprising for the rest of the world. They lead all movements which can be called materialistic movements. In philosophy, in science, in sociology, in all other aspects of life which concern man, which are not religious, and which are not moral, which are not godly. The Western society leads the entire mankind. The same people who are completely blind to the values of their Creator, their submission to Him, their obligations to Him, are so well advanced in science that now they are virtually talking, literally talking with the heavens above. As we call it, why I use this word talking? Because in Urdu we say, Asman se baatein karna, which means one attains such heights as if he is by reaching those heights, he is able to really talk to the heavenly bodies. And this is what exactly they have done. When they first put their feet on the surface of moon, they addressed that moon and addressed the heavenly bodies in such pride. But now we have reached this. And we have started searching for other places in space to achieve even greater heights. So this is one end, as far as the worldly affairs go. They have invented highly sophisticated weapon system, so sophisticated and so deadly that once they decide to use such weapons against mankind, there is every possibility that the species of mankind would be destroyed and wiped out from large areas of the world. All this because of their very exceptional eyesight regarding the material world and the law of nature. Very penetrating eyes have been granted to them by Allah. And this is what was foretold. Now these traditions, to depict the future power of Christianity, are not things which Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam concocted from himself. It was his habit and custom, and very strict custom for that matter, that he would not utter not a single word from himself. All that he said was from Allah, and was by way of interpretation of the Holy Quran. And this is exactly what has been mentioned elsewhere in the Holy Quran itself. مَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Look at my Prophet Muhammad Mustafa. He doesn't utter a single word from himself. All that he says is based on the Holy Quran. So such is the Prophet addressing us and telling us that there is going to be a Dajjal or Antichrist, whatever you call it. Where is he mentioned in the Holy Quran? That is the question which comes to one's mind. So Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is going to say all that he says from his Lord and not nothing from himself, then there must be some reference of this in the Holy Quran. Now that surah in which the Dajjal has been mentioned has been pointed out by Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam himself. When he warned his people, his followers, against the appearance of the Dajjal, he was asked by one of them, how could they be saved from the horror and the damage of such a heaven? So he said, the only way out is that you recite first 10 verses of Surah Tahir before retiring, and also the last 10 verses of Surah Kahf. Now what he meant was, obviously, that the Dajjal has been described here in detail. If you understand the meaning of first 10 verses and the final 10 verses of Surah Tahir, then you would recognize your enemy. And once you recognize your enemy and the direction of attack, then it is only possible for you to take defensive measures to guard yourself against the enemy. As long as you don't know where the enemy is and where he is attacked from, which direction is going to come, from which direction is going to come upon you, you will naturally not be able to defend yourself. So he is pointing out very positively what the enemy is and what he should be guarded against. The first verses of the Surah Al-Kahf refer to Christianity, and a warning is specifically given to Christianity that Allah warns you against concocting and attributing a false son to him while he has no son. لِيُنْذِرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا مَا لَهُم بِهِ مِنْ عِلْمٍ وَلَا لِآبَائِهِمْ إِنْ يَقُولُونَ إِلَّا كَلِمَةً تَخْرُجُ مِنْ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ إِنْ يَقُولُونَ إِلَّا كَذِبًا. This holy prophet of Allah has come to warn you and warn those in particular who are Christians, who have invented by themselves imaginatively a son to Allah. And they attribute that imaginary being to Allah and say he is a son. Neither they have any knowledge nor their forefathers had any knowledge. They are just talking nonsense out of their heads, as they say in English. So this is But this nonsense will be taken very seriously by Allah, because it is an affront to them. So they are going to be punished for that. These are the verses which make very clear the religion of the Dajjal, that whatever power there be, that power is going to be Christian. And Christian of that stage in future, which would become almost entirely idolaters. Now, after this introduction, after a few verses, and the distorted shape of Christianity is left alone, and then Allah turns to the account of those early Christians who were God-fearing and who offered great sacrifices for the sake of Allah, went to the caves for the sake of saving their religion from their opponents. Those are the people then mentioned, and it is made explicitly clear that whatever the future Christians would gain by way of the materialistic advancements would be, in fact, because of their early forefathers' good deeds. It is a reward not for their own sake, but for the sake of those early Christians who offered so much for the sake of Allah, that they are reaping this reward of great achievements in the world. Now that is a different subject altogether. But those were not the Dajjal. So Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam confined himself to the only first 10 verses, because the account which relates to the great early Christians, who part of whom are called Ashab-e-Kahf, people of the cave, are exempt from this warning. They are in fact related to the narrated in the Holy Quran with great love and desire. So we leave them alone for the time being and go to the last 10 verses. There, what do we find there? There Allah tells us, أَفَحَسِبَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنْ يَتَّخِذُوا عِبَادِي مِنْ دُونِي أَوْلِيَاءَ إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا جَهَنَّمَ لِلْكَافِرِينَ نُزُلًا. أَفَحَسِبَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, those who have denied the message of the Holy Prophet, who refuse to believe in him, those think, are they working under the misconception that they will ultimately become successful? By doing what? By making Allah's creatures, by treating Allah's creatures as his partners. يَتَّخِذُونَ عِبَادِي مِنْ دُونِي أَوْلِيَاءَ. As against me, if they start making partners, foreign partners besides Allah, from among Allah's creatures, if they think they would become successful, they are totally wrong in that. Further it says, these are the people who have turned all their attentions, all their energies, all their power towards materialism. الَّذِينَ ظَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Now this is the verse to which I want to attract your attention in particular. This is a telltale verse. It tells us that these are the people whose faith is Christianity, whose religion is Christianity, that who would have made such advancement in material pursuits, أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. That they would think that they have done that, they have achieved the very best in life. That means to say that not only their entire energies and capabilities would be directed towards materialistic pursuits, but also they would have gained so much by that pursuit that they would believe that they have done the very best in life. What best could they be other than this? Now, this is exactly the situation which we find today when we are traveling in Europe. They have excelled in the pursuit of materialism. They have gone to such stages as is unimaginable for poor people of Pakistan or India or other backward countries to achieve even after 100 years. They have gone so far ahead of us. And by the pursuit of materialism, they have come out with beautiful things as well, as the Holy Quran himself admits. Allahum yusinuna sunnah means that their industry would be so wonderful that when they would look at their products, they say, look at how beautifully we have made them. Well, we can manufacture such beautiful things. All over the world you see the same thing. They excelled in industry. And this is what the Holy Quran tells. But at the same time, that Dajjal becomes manifestly clear to us. He is the same Dajjal which was talked about by Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That one eye is blind. As far as the religious values are concerned, they don't see the logic of the things. They say 3 is 1 and 1 is 3. What begets children physical beings? It's impossible how absurd it is. Yet, the logic immediately goes to sleep when they begin to see realized religion, and they don't see anything at all. This is why they are called blind. On the moment their eyes turn towards the materialistic things, their vision becomes so bright and clear, so illuminated, that we that look at them with wonder how they could perceive those things, while we also live the same universe, we also pass through the same natural phenomena, but we miss the point, while they have picked up the right points, and there is advancement because of a correct study of nature. So this dilemma is solved by Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And by solving this, it gives us hope too. Instead of giving us inferiority complex, we are strengthened in our faith. We realize that although they are wise people, that 1400 years ago, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam had seen children. He had warned them that they would materialistically become extremely advanced. Yet you must not follow them in their ethical values, in their religious values, in all the values which are termed good in Islam, because there they would be a blind people. If you follow them there, you will be destroying yourself. This is a message which I want to make clear now to you, that this should be our approach to the West. What a great prophet he was. When he saw light, he comes back, he admitted it in so many words. When he saw goodness, he admitted it in so many words. when he saw badness, he warned against that bad and evil feature. And this is our approach too. I mean, we can't follow a different approach from the master. Now, here we are making mistakes. I'm talking about that society which has migrated from the east to the west by not understanding the message of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are following an entirely different course from what he advised. He advised us that you can trust their vision as far as material world is goes. You can copy their pursuits, because there is no harm in studying the nature of Allah and the creation of Allah, not their own creation. Their vision is correct. This word has been given by Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That the Holy Prophet meant, inasmuch as their sciences are concerned, their study of nature is concerned, you should not only follow them, you should try to excel them. No harm in that. Because they are not the creators, the creation of Allah which they have rightly understood. But in all the other values, you must completely abandon them and not follow their path. But I see here is quite a different pattern altogether. In fact, it's the converse of this. Most of the Asians who come over to these countries, they don't follow them in their goodnesses, but they follow them in their wrongs. They lose their way of life, they lose their moral values, they lose their religion, they lose all that is good in them, and start following the Western pattern of a rotten society. While they were forewarned by Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam 14 centuries ago, how clear was his vision? How beautiful the message. Here they are wrong. Don't just condemn them roundly and revolt against all that Western. This is what is calling. Choose the right thing from the wrong. And I give you the criterion, unfailing criterion, which would never lead you to the wrong decision. That on the right things, they're always wrong. On the left things, they're always right. Follow them materialistically. Learn from them and try to excel them, no harm. But whenever the moral values, religious values, ethical values are concerned, it would be poison for you if you follow them. You'll be eating poison. Now this is exactly what the people are doing in the East. This is why Ahmadis are expected not only to warn the West, but also the Eastern people who come over here and invite these members. And this is what Ahmadis are not doing, in fact. This is why I have opened up this articulate ground for you to see where you are missing the values which are acceptable to you. Most unfortunate. In fact, you came here to the West not only in your personal capacity, but in the capacity, much more in the capacity of ambassadors of Islam and the representatives of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you don't understand his religion, if you don't follow his path, and you don't exhibit the way of life through your own personal example, how can you be named the ambassadors of Islam and the representatives of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You're so dormant to these things, in fact, in some respects, that it deeply hurts me to notice that in many respects, we are losing ground to the West rather than gaining ground. As far as our rate of preaching is concerned, there is almost zero in Fazl. I made thorough inquiry here about how many Ahmadis today are present here who belong to this file, so that for their sake I should address myself in English. And I told just one lady. And over 50% of all who were listening to it. Because there is one gentleman left out, who is missing unfortunately. So 50% of the local Ahmadis are there and one is left. This is shame. This is a point for us to ponder and reflect. What have we been doing here? All of you, youths and old and young and old and ladies and gentlemen, who came from Pakistan or some other countries to seek employment here or to do business. That was not the fundamental thing for you. The most overriding thing in an Ahmadi should be the message of Islam. Don't leave it to the mysteries. They simply cannot do it alone. It is you who are going to take up the puzzle, otherwise Islam will remain in this defeated state as we find it today. Read the early history of Islam and you will come to know that in fact it was not the clergy, because there was no such thing as clergy in Islam. It brought about the great revolution over the world. Who converted China? Read the history of Islam and then you will find out not a single missionary was sent to China. I mean those 4 provinces of China which are predominantly Muslims. The 4 big provinces who have become almost entirely Muslim, and not a single preacher was sent to them by any Muslim leader. This statement, those who sought employment, as you have sought employment today, they went to China. Who converted Indonesia? Ponder over this question. Neither a soul nor such missionaries as you find today. There was no such system in place. Just ordinary tradesmen went there and started preaching, and they were responsible people. Hazrat Muhammad who didn't leave anything unexplained. During the bank, when he meant by the job, he explained at length where he mentioned the Holy Quran, he explained the philosophy of the institution of the job. He explained where he should be followed and where he should be avoided, and where he should be opposed and where he should be aided. Everything has been made manifest. But unfortunately, we are not paying attention to his words, and this is what I am repeatedly trying to draw your attention to. Allah bless you. May Allah help you. But I assure you, that is for the sake of Allah. You make this decision today, that from now on you are going to lead a life of a missionary. If you make this decision today, that for Allah's sake, you will devote all your energies towards converting this country into Islam, then you will see the great changes appear. All around you, people will begin to get converted. But that can only be done if you also remain humble, if you also continuously pray to Allah, seek His help, accept your being nothing. Admit that you have no power on earth whatsoever. And then turn to your Lord repeatedly with tears and with aching hearts. Oh Allah, I have taken the responsibility of converting these people. I who am an entity, who are nothing, who have neither knowledge, nor wealth, nor strength enough. How can I do it? But oh Lord, I have done it for your sake. I believe in your mercy. I believe in your succor. You come to my aid because I have whatever I am. However humble I be, I have come to your aid. So all that I expect of you is to come to my aid for this noble goal which I am pursuing for my love for you, for my love for Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa. So if I am offering myself to your path, why shouldn't you come to help me? If you pray to Allah with such pain and such aching hearts, it's impossible for Him not to accept it. Then you will see the changes occurring all around you. Then you will see the fate of this country changing gradually, and light adding to the dark, light appearing in the darkness and dispelling darkness all around. May Allah bless you. May Allah help you. First make this sincere resolution, then act upon it. Then may Allah help you to follow this noble word perseverance, not with temporary emotions. We don't want Ahmadis with temporary emotions. This is a long task. We may have to devote a generation after generation our energies towards achievements of this goal. So we don't want people who are tired. Allah in the Holy Quran tells us that there are angels who never tire in praising Him. So are the followers of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu they tirelessly follow the goal which has been set to them by the Holy Founder of Islam. This is your station in life, this is your status in the eyes of Allah. So why do you sing to the ordinary low level of ordinary Asians who come here, lose their values, acquire complexes, and get lost themselves? You are distant. Why don't you realize it? This is what hurts me most. Not only the fate of the people around, but when I see Ahmadis behaving like ordinary people, while they are not ordinary people, then it hurts me most. Then I turn to Allah, oh Allah, what is the use of my coming here if I can't turn Ahmadis back to your message? If I can't make them realize where they belong to? What is the use in my going through the streets of London and Glasgow and Frankfurt and Hamburg? Because then I would be just an ordinary person doing the same thing as so hundreds and millions of visitors do. I'm not coming for that purpose. And I'm no part of the hearts around me. It's you alone who have that power. You help me. So as I am humble in my approach and I only seek Allah's help, you should also be humble in your approach and seek Allah's help for good sake, for the sake of your generations, for the sake of mankind suffering around. Then you will see the great signs appearing, great changes appearing, inshallah. And a new Jamaat will be born here in these countries. Out of your bodies, new souls will emerge. And that is the message of Ahmadiyya, which I deliver to you, and trust to Allah that it will get great, inshallah. نؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. After the Juma prayer, we will say Asr prayer together with the Juma. I myself and all the rest of those who are on journey would say half of the Asr, that is 2 rakah. Those of you who belong here, they should complete their prayer after that without saying Assalamu alaikum. But they should not stand up until I have finished the second Assalamu alaikum. I have observed people behaving hastily, impatiently. While they are not permitted to go beyond the movements of Imam, while the Imam is still locked in prayer, till he stays and finishes his second Assalamu alaikum, their followers have no right to stand up. When Imam is free, then they are free. So the prayer of the Imam ends with the second Assalamu Alaikum, not with the first. So you wait until I have finished the second Assalamu Alaikum and then stand up for completing your prayer, that is having more rakats without Assalamu Alaikum. After that, Sheikh Sahib has told me that the Jamaat wants to renew their pledge of prayer. So, inshallah, for the sake of Jamaat of Scotland, we'll go through the ceremony of that. And there the Imam of Scotland, that is Mr. Brother Bashir Orchard, he would come forward and some of them came and put their hand touching my hand. And the rest of you can put hands on the person who is sitting before you, so that to establish a sort of bodily contact. Now, bodily contact is not what is meant. What is meant is the spiritual contact. Because this is the same bag which is referred to in the Holy Quran as Hablullah. You hold Hablullah with the strongest possible power which you have. Now, through that you come in contact with Hablullah. So that is the spiritual contact. Then why do we ask you to establish also bodily contact? Not because of superstition, but because Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has taught us this. This was his habit. He used to do it like this. So we are his followers. It's only, I think, a way of symbol, establishing the necessity of your contact by telling you to establish physical contact. What the Holy Prophet meant was that you should try to be near the Khalifa or near whom you are pledging your back to, not only physically, but also spiritually, much more. Perhaps that is simple, but whatever it is, we do how we found, exactly as we found Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his followers do. So it's no superstition. So after the bad, we'll say prayer, and then, inshallah, I'll take leave of you. عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله